welcome to the Houndstrings podcast, episode 3. My name's Alex, I'm your host. If you're joining me for the first time, welcome to the show. This is a podcast about knitting and crochet, all kinds of crafty fun. It's about music and just good things in life in general. So with that, let's get started. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Thanks for joining me again. Don't have quite as much to share this episode, so it'll be a little bit shorter than usual, and that's because I've been lapsing on the music. Kind of put that on the back burner just with the holiday season. It's funny, it feels like it's been ages since the holidays, but you know, it's only been just over a month since Christmas, so mind blown. Weird kind of paradox. But anyway, let's get started. Can't wait to catch up with you guys and show you what I've been working on. So I think today let's start on some works in progress. Normally I'll start with finished objects. Actually, let's do finished objects because I only have the one and I want to just show you before I forget because I'm super proud of it. So I was working on the Atlanticus shawl by Hooked on Sunshine, and that was a project for my grandmother, and I already gave it to her last week, but I did think ahead of time for the future, for what would be the podcast, and took a little video clip showing it off, so here is that. So check it out. It's finally finished. So this is my mini Atlanticus blanket. I call it mini because it's only 3 feet by 3 feet, but maybe if I can get the picture in there. The whole thing, it's kind of hard to see, but I am so happy with it, and it's going to be going to my grandmother's today, so I know she's going to love it. I was going to say let's see how she likes it, but I know she will. So yeah, I'm super proud of that. The yarn I used was Karen Big Cakes in the afternoon tea colorway. It took about three balls of that. However, I still have quite a bit left over, mostly because with the way I chose to arrange the colors, it took up more of the dark blue than anything else. So I'll just add those to my scraps for now, but I would definitely make that again. That one was a free pattern when I bought it, or when I got it. However, since then, I think in previous episodes I thought it was a paid for pattern, but it's not. But since recording and since I finished it, the designer had made a compendium, because originally it was, again, a crochet along, which comes in segments, but she has a version where it's all compiled into one document, with new colorway suggestions and better photos, all kinds of cool features. And I will say right now that given a chance, I'm not really in a place where I can make any more crafty purchases. I'll tell you why in a little bit, because I'm super excited about that. But anyway, unfortunately right now I won't be able to purchase it, but down the road I want to make it again, and when I do, I would like to purchase a copy of that pattern. It was that fun. I really enjoyed it, but I think even more than making it, I really liked giving it to my grandmother, and she was she's so surprised. She goes, "You made this for me? You worked so hard on that. Don't you want it?" And I'm like, "Well, I made this especially for you. I would be sad if you didn't take it." And she it was just so cute to see her reaction. I loved it. And I think I mentioned in that clip that I stopped at, row around 53-ish. So about halfway through the pattern, or probably a little less than halfway through, just because I wanted to get it to her sooner rather than later, and B, I wanted it more lap size because she is in a wheelchair. I want her to be able to enjoy it while she's in her chair. She kind of toodles around while she's sitting. It's hilarious. It's so cute. Yeah, she doesn't even use the wheel or the wheels. She just uses her legs to kind of motor herself around. It's precious. I love it. But anything bigger would have kind of gotten caught. And she's also small enough to where, if she wanted to use it as a regular blanket in bed, it's a good size for that. It'll keep her chest nice and toasty. So that was that. And that's my one and only finished object. I've mentioned before, I'm not a fast knitter. I'm not a fast crafter by any means. But I'm okay with that. Now let's get on to some works in progress. I have 3 going on at the moment, which is kind of unusual for me. Normally I have one project that stays at home and then one project that's on the go. In this case, since 2 of them are relatively small-ish, I decided to make those 2 my on the go. So let's start with, you've seen this one before, my Luella top. It has grown since the last episode, and I'm super proud of it. For those who have not seen it before, this is a pattern by Susie Sparkles. It is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry, but it's worth every cent. And the yarn I'm using is Ba La Jolla in the Market Flowers colorway. And that one was actually a gift from my Aunt Claire. She lives in Seattle, and the shop where she got it is right by Pike Place Market. So it was dyed, I think, exclusively for them. But I think the last time you saw this, I think I had just finished the yoke. Now I have divided for sleeves and I'm working on the body. I still have about 1 inch to go before I start shaping for the bust, but I love how it's coming out so far. You'll see it again in a joint episode, or a joint podcast with myself and Jessica of Armywifeknittinglife. Hi, Jessie. Mooah. I'm sorry, that's our little thing. But that episode was recorded back in December, and unfortunately there hasn't been much progress since then. But I'm still very happy with where it is right now, and now that I have the blanket finished, I can focus more time on that project. The other 2, again, are my on-the-go projects right now, and they are actually for they're actually for a make-along hosted by Jessica, hosted by Armywifeknittinglife. And this is the Thank You for Being a Friend knit-along. She calls it a cow, but, for her rules of entry, it can be any kind of craft as long as you can relate it to the Golden Girls. So whether it's the color scheme is golden, or it reminds you of Miami, or the scenery, or if the project itself reminds you of one of the characters, that's the route I'm taking. If you can relate it to the Golden Girls show in any way, shape, or form, it counts. And as long as it's handmade by you. The knit along run, or the make along runs until March 31st. It actually started on New Year's Day. I started a little late, but better late than never. But I absolutely love the Golden Girls. I actually wouldn't have heard of it if it weren't for Jessie. I think we were about 13 when we started watching it together. Or she had already heard of it, but she was telling me about the show. And here I go working on it while I'm talking. But anyway, so the first one is the start of a shawl. And this is the Grouchy Geisha shawl. And I'm just going to look at it real quick. All right. And Grouchy Geisha is by Marisa Hernandez. This one is a free pattern. Again, mostly because at this point I really need to save money. But it's for a good cause, and I'll tell you in the announcement section. Unless you've already watched the most recent episode of Armywifeknittinglife, then you probably already know. But for the rest of you, a little bit later. So anyway, I chose this pattern because the name really tickled me. This project is in honor of Dorothy, aka B. Arthur. I'm using Queensland Collection in their Uluru line, in their Uluru base, which is a nice, it's actually a cotton and acrylic blend, but it's super soft. I love it. And it has a little bit of metallic thread, so it gives it a little extra sparkle. But I thought this one was a perfect Dorothy-inspired project because purple, at least to me, seems to be one of Dorothy's signature colors. Also, again, the name kind of tickled me because because Dorothy can seem kind of grouchy, kind of, how do I want to put this? Kind of sour, I guess, on the outside, but at the same time, she's a very warm, kind, caring person, and the shawl is, soft and fuzzy and just wonderful, and it's quite pretty, just like Dorothy, despite the frequent jabs from Blanche and Sophia, and even occasionally Rose, although I don't think Rose's jabs really come from a place of sarcasm. I think it's just more of that lack of filter. But anyway, this is in honor of Dorothy, in honor of B. Arthur. And then the other is Back in St. Olaf. And this one is a paid for pattern. I kind of broke my own rule, but that was like the last pattern purchase. I'm like, just one more. Because this one is perfect. It is a pattern directly inspired by the Golden Girls too. So, and keep wanting to say Back in St. Olaf. Back in St. Olaf. but this one is by Sarah Lossi, Sarallozzi. And I call the project Rose's Dog Walking Socks because the yarn, which is Regia 6-ply, the yarn is a self-patterning, and it kind of reminds me of like a Scandinavian type color or color combination. It has blue, it's coming out a little bit brighter, a little bit more saturated, but honestly not by much. But it has the purpley colors and grays, white. It's just super pretty, and this is part of the Christmas gift from Jessie, and I love it so much. But anyway, this is the start of the In St. Olaf socks, and again I call it Rose's Dog Walking Socks because of Rose's and of course her actress. This is embarrassing. Betty White. It's inspired by Betty White and her character Rose's love of dogs, and also inspired by the occasional appearances of the girl's four-legged neighbor Dreyfus. I actually just watched the episode where Rose's younger sister comes to visit, and kind of the subplot is that Sophia is responsible for watching Dreyfus. He gets lost. She gets another dog from the pet store, and hilarity ensues. Let's just put it at that. No more spoilers. But anyway, that's what this project is inspired by, and I like to think I'm kind of a combination between Rose and Dorothy. I have a little bit of that hidden sass, at least I think, but again, it's definitely hidden. I think I'm more like Rose in that regard because as sweet as she is, she can have some killer lines. And also, I think I have I do occasionally have a couple of Rose moments, not necessarily dumb moments, at least I hope not, but sometimes I do exhibit a little bit of that naivete. But anyway, that is what I'm working on. Those are the two projects that I'm working on for that make-along. So if you haven't joined in, there's still a couple of months before it ends, so join in. And if you're on Instagram, use the hashtag I'll put it in the caption below. It's Thank You for Being a Friend, KAL 2019. So that's that. That's all I have for crafty things, at least for right now, except for a couple of acquisitions. So if acquisitions are not your thing, then you can skip ahead or just say goodbye here, in which case, bye! But for those of us sticking around, again, I am trying to be good as far as watching what I spend, but I did have to go out and got to the craft stores and try and find some needles. I had size 7 needles. I was going to use them for this project because it gave me the tension that I was looking for. Tension, not attention. But the needles that I started on were acrylics, and let me say they got the job done. They held me over until I could get the bamboo ones that I'm using now. However, it was not my favorite thing to work with. Granted, I realized that acrylic needles do have their place. Sometimes with really slippery yarns, they give you a little bit more grip. However, for this project, it was sticking like crazy. It squeaked. It was just not fun to work with. So while I was there, I was at Hobby Lobby, and while I was looking for needles, I found this amazing little toolkit. So it's on like one of those little keychain things, but it has four tools in one, starting with a wraps per inch. Now for those unfamiliar with fiber arts, this is a tool that you can use to figure out what weight category your yarn belongs to, whether it's lace weight, fingering, so going from smallest to thickest, lace, fingering, sport, DK, aka double knit, worsted, bulky, super bulky, and jumbo. So you would use this if maybe you were spinning yarn, or if you receive a skein of mystery yarn where you don't really know which category it should fall into. Maybe you're like, oh, is it a DK or is it a worsted? No. This is how you would find out. You would just wrap it around this whole thing until you get, so basically this whole segment. And you would count how many times you had to wrap it, and that would relate to your yarn size. It also has a hook and needle gauge. It shows in both in metric and US sizes. There's another one for really big hooks and needles. I think starting with size, so it goes from aught, which that's the term that I learned. So 0 essentially to size U in US sizes. So a 0 would be 2 millimeters up to size U, which would be 25 millimeters, not millimeters. Different unit altogether. But anyway, and then the last one is a nice handy dandy little 1-inch swatch gauge. So cool things. I really like it. And you can just attach this to your project bag or wherever you need it. So that's one of the things that I got. I also purchased some needles, or I purchased these separately, so I have them attached for another project that I hope to complete. Oh, excuse me. Bought it for another project I hope to complete soon. It's a UFO that I started a long time ago. But hopefully once I'm finished with the projects that I have right now, I'll pick back up on that and keep going. But it's what's the brand? That's Knitter's Pride. And it's their colorful, whatever they call this one. I don't remember. My brain's kind of farting out right now. But I have that. Then I also got some flexi flips. This is my second set. These are US size 1, metric size 2.5 millimeters. And I got these specifically for traveling. And I'm not going to wait till announcements. I'll go ahead and tell you now. I will be going to Germany this spring to visit Jessica of Army Wife Knitting Life. I've been waiting to travel again for a long time. The last time I was out of the country was in 2010. I had just graduated high school, and my parents took me to Ireland. And that trip was my graduation gift from them. But anyway, I want to be able to knit while I'm traveling, and I thought socks would be a fun thing to take with me, nice and light. And for me, they take long enough to keep me entertained for a while. But normally the yarn that I've chosen would require about a size 1 or 1.5, which normally when I do socks, I do 2 at a time using the magic loop technique. However, the only size 1, I think they're 1.5, but anyway, the only set of needles that I have that would be appropriate are my Haya sharps, which those are pointy. They're probably not, I wonder if they're as sharp as Chow Goos. I've heard Chow Goos, depending on what style you get, Chow Goos can be very, very sharp and pokey. But at least to me, they look like something that would easily be confiscated, and I don't want that to happen. I want to be able to keep my project with me and work on it on the plane. Thank you very much. That's why I'm going to take my set of acrylic interchangeables, because if they get confiscated, I won't be sad if those are missing. So I've got these, and for Europeans, you might know them by the name of Crazy Trios. These are a German brand. They're by Addie. There we go. And then, so yeah, I got those to hopefully take with me to Germany. And then I do have one more acquisition to show, my only yarn acquisition for this episode. So I'll be right back. Here we go. So I went to Yarning for You because I was already in the area, and I was looking for yarn to kind of add to stash to complete projects. So I had this is Hearthside Fibers, I believe, in their Extravagance line. It's a DK weight, and I have 2 of these. This was a gift from my Aunt Claire, the same one who got me the Bala Hoya. She knows I'm a crafter. She knows I love this. I love yarn. But I went to Yarning for You the other day, and I purchased this. Now, it's quite a bit darker than the other, than this one, which I thought they were about the same shade. Not necessarily, or I should say the same value. So like if you take a black and white picture, they wouldn't come up the same shade of gray. But anyway, I digress. This is Kelborn Woolens in their Scout base, and it's 100% wool. It's not superwash or anything, which I don't think Hearthside, I don't believe this one is either. But I saw the color and I fell head over heels in love. So I got I actually ended up getting 2 skeins of this just so I could have a complete project. The colorway is called Blue Heather, but right now it's kind of coming out more blue-gray. It's actually blue, like kind of a grayish blue, way more on the blue side, but it has green and violet heathered in, and suffice it to say, it's more beautiful in person than it's showing up here. Maybe like right about here it's showing kind of true to color. But anyway, I'm thinking of doing maybe a cardigan and going from light to dark and kind of fading the blue in. So we'll see how it goes, or maybe I'll do some stripes or some color work. Who knows? I haven't practiced color work yet, but yeah, no better way to learn. But that's all I have for crafty things. Again, I don't have any music this time just because I haven't been able to practice, just with, again, the holiday season that was only a month ago but seems so far away. But also trying to finish the blanket, which again, I'm so happy that it's with my grandmother. I think giving it to her was more fun than making it, and that's saying something, because it was a lot of fun to make. But yeah, just with that, I hadn't, in working full time, it just didn't seem like there was a lot of opportunity, but probably it was just kind of slipped by. But anyway, I'll be coming out of hibernation with that soon. And same with blogging, but hopefully on the blog I'll talk a little bit more. Once I get started, I'll go into a little bit more as far as what I like to listen to, recent finds. I do have one that I kind of rediscovered that is a little bit out of my genre zone. And I say rediscovered because I had heard of this group early last year, so early 2018. And, oh, hi, bud. Sorry for the bumpy ride. Hey, bud. That's my buddy boy. That's my Linus. But it's kind of funny because this group is that genre is normally out of the norm for me, for what I listen to. Normally I enjoy classical music, jazz, folk. I have fairly eclectic taste, so in a way it's kind of surprising, but at the same time kind of not. But there's a group called Sabaton, Sabaton, and I think they've been around for, I don't remember how long they've been around, but it seems like they're already pretty well established. But I was listening to a radio show on satellite radio, and in the segment is one where listeners can call in and just talk about some of their favorite music and a particular song and why they like that song. I'll talk a little bit more in detail again on my blog once I get around to blogging again. But their music is their lyrics are usually based on historical events. One of my favorites is, there are two that I listen to over and over again, but one of my favorites is called The Last Battle, or Battle for a Castle Iter, or Iter, it's spelled I-T-T-E-R. And the song is based on a story about how during the fall of the Nazi regime, the German troops the German army joined forces with the American troops to help liberate Europe again after Hitler's downfall. And I'm going to adjust the brightness because it is starting to get dark outside. I was using natural light for this whole time. So, but anyway, it talks about that final battle for that castle that was held besieged, and the remaining Nazis were holding prisoners in that castle, and it was like a do or die thing for the forces that were trying to rescue those people. And it's a fantastic tune, great lyrics, again, and overall a great band. I am very surprised. And I don't think I mentioned, they're a metal group. So there you go. Flip on the light. I'll be totally washed out and kind of yellowed. There we go. That'll do. I don't have any more yarn to show, so that'll work for now. But I've kind of been re-listening to them and enjoying that. And then you guys saw Linus. He's, for those who haven't met him, he's my dog, or our family dog. My dad got him when he was a puppy when I was still in high school, and he's 10 years old now. During the winter time, he kind of walks like an old man, so I give him the glucosamine, and I think even now I'm just gonna stick with it, just because it makes him more comfortable. But otherwise, he's same old Linus, still in great shape. He's kind of a lazy bum all day, and then once it gets dark and dusky, he wants to go out and sniff. So that's him for you. And so yeah, that's all I have for this episode. Thanks again for joining. I had a great time with you guys. If there's anything that you want to talk about, just general chatter to say hi, leave a comment below. Likewise, if there's anything that you want to see me do on the show, comment about that. If you have any constructive criticism, I know Jessie has already given the spiel if you've watched her podcast, but keep it constructive. I shouldn't have to say things like that, but anything disparaging doesn't count. I'm not going to listen to that. There are other podcasts out there if you'd rather watch them and not mine. But if there's anything that you think I should do, maybe it's like, project more, or maybe have a microphone. That is something that I'm trying to work on, just the projecting, because the computer fan kicks on a little bit, and it can be a lot overpowering. But if there's anything that you think I should keep doing, comment below. Or again, if you just want to chat and say hi, I'd love to hear from you and hear what's going on with you guys. Until next time, though, take care, and we'll see you later. Bye! Oh, and one more thing. I have coming up a joint episode, or a joint podcast with myself and Jessica, again, of Armywifeknittinglife. Love her so much. She is awesome. This was recorded back in December. So some of these things, if you've been catching up on her podcast, some of these things you've already seen before. There might be some new things that she has as works in progress that you did not see because she had given them to, because they were gifts for family members. But anyway, stay tuned for that. It'll be available here on my channel as well as on hers. All right. See you guys later.